Okay, hi. I just wanted to film myself getting ready, doing my makeup and things, and also just give kind of a life update because these videos are mostly aimed at friends and family, and I've been getting a lot of questions. I'm going to use this Stellar Brilliant Primer, which I had a sample of, and I'm almost done with it. It took me forever to go through this though, so I'm happy to finally be at the end. It's a really nice primer. Kind of reminds me of the Mineral Veil primer from Hourglass. But anyway, about my life, for those of you who don't know, I went to school at the University of San Francisco, and I majored in psychology and minored in neuroscience and child and youth studies. So that's kind of where my interests are and where they all intersect. And then I just graduated this past May, and so the goal, I need to be putting my makeup on. I can't just rant forever. I'll never get this done. Okay, so for foundation, I'm trying to just get a lot of coverage right now. So I'm gonna be using the Hourglass Spanish stick. But yeah, so I graduated, and the plan is to go to graduate school to get a PhD in clinical psychology. So for those of you who are not in the psychology field, basically there are a lot of different graduate degrees that you can get. There's a lot of master's programs. You can, get a master's in social work and then get licensed, and you can do, therapy and be a licensed clinical social worker. You can be an MFT, which is a marriage and family therapist. And you can get a master's in special areas in psychology. Maybe that's industrial organizational psychology. I'm mixing the Estee Lauder Double Wear in 1W1 and the Dior Forever in Tender Beige. There's a lot of different things you can go into, but when it comes to being a licensed psychologist, it's MFT, LCSW, licensed clinical social worker, and then when it comes to doctorate degrees, you can either get a PsyD or a PhD. And a PsyD is purely clinical, and you go to school for a long time and you do a lot of clinical work, and you can also get a PhD, which is a more research-oriented program, so it's doing clinical research. So that is what I want to do. I decided on that after lots of thought. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a clinical PhD or a PhD in neuroscience or a PhD in maybe development, or PhD in just a more research-oriented PhD that's purely research. Now the thing with a clinical PhD is that it's a research degree, but it's also clinical, so you also can get licensed and practice and do therapy, mental health assessments, etc. But it is also research, so there's teaching and papers and academia. Do you see how I look really yellow compared to my chest? I kind of want to do a whole video on undertones, because they're so much more complex than people make it out to be. Because technically I do have yellow undertones, but do you see it looks kind of I'm wearing a light yellow mask. But if I did all neutral, all pink, then it would be a really clear line from my neck, whatever. I want to do a whole video talking about undertones, because there's definitely not enough information on the internet of how complex they are. But anyway, back to my life goal. Okay, I really like the way all these foundations are looking together. Okay, I'm now going to use this NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Canal, because it's peachy toned, so it's just going to help to color correct a little bit, because my dark circles are looking fierce today. This is the Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Light Sand, and I just put that in a triangle. underneath my eye. I don't know why I did so much. I wasn't planning to, but here we are. And I'm just gonna work that in by just pressing in circles until it's like flawlessly blended. You may be asking, oh, well, where am I going to graduate school? And that is the thing, is not yet. So if I really want to get into a really good program, a lot of people do now is they work in research for 2 years as a research assistant in a lab full-time, and then they go to grad school because it makes you a much more competitive applicant, because a clinical PhD is much more competitive than a PsyD because it's what a lot of people want to do. And 2 years seems to be like the good number, 1 to 3 basically, or longer, but most people do 1 to 3 years. My family, my parents wanted me to do and encouraged me to do because I finished college in 3 years, and so they wanted me to slow down a little bit before I jump right into grad school. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be an RA in a research lab for 2 years. I'm using the Hourglass New Mineral Veil powder. I'm just putting it right kind of underneath my eyes, on the side of my nose, in very generous amounts, and then using a very light amount underneath my eye. When I was editing the first video, all I could see was all the horrible faces I was making while I was putting my makeup on, so I'm trying now to like not make as many horrible faces. So apologies if I do. Okay, I'm just gonna let that sit there for a while I do my eye makeup. I'm just gonna do like a really simple eye today. I'm taking my Benefit Hoola bronzer and a big fluffy crease brush and just going in. While I was in college for my last year, I got an internship at UCSF. So I went to USF, which is the University of San Francisco, and I got an internship at UCSF, which was University of California, San Francisco. It's kind of like UC Berkeley, but in San Francisco. And that's a medical school, really well-known research institution as well. It's like the #1 school in the world for neuroscience. So I was like, I'm living in the city, I have this opportunity, I have to just like get my foot in the door. And I saw this ad posted. They were looking for volunteer research assistants, and it was for a lab that does, it was for doing neuropsychological assessments of children, and it was a neuroscience lab, and I was like, okay, that's everything I'm interested in. I'm so excited about this. So I applied and I got it. And so for 2 semesters, I really need to get better at like talking while I do my makeup. They told me that they were looking for someone to actually go to Connecticut. So the director decided not only to take her job there, but she also wanted to move the lab there to open up a second location of that lab I had been at. So there's the lab in California, and then it's not leaving, it's not moving to Connecticut. A second one is going to be open to Connecticut, and they need more people, so they invited me to come on, and I was like, yes, I love, you know, what this lab is doing, and I also really need a research assistant position. And the particular director of the lab is a really well-known researcher, and she would just be like an incredible mentor to have. And so I was like, yes, I'll take it. I was super excited, but that means that I'm now moving to Connecticut. I'm going to be using the Master Palette by Mario from Anastasia, and I'm thinking about what I want to do. I want to keep this really like simple and natural. I'm just going to the movies later, which I'll talk about too. I'm just going to take this Lula, actually, which is just a light taupe, kind of like the bronzer I used. I'm just kind of procrastinating making any serious decisions about color. Anyway, So then, soon after, I found out that they were hiring me for a lab manager position. So I'd be getting, the same pay, and I'd be at the same level, right, as a research assistant, but I would be the lab manager, which is a little bit more responsibility in terms of big picture, but not necessarily more responsibility in terms of like workload. So I was excited about that, let them know I was happy to do that, and so I have been doing a little bit of those duties just over the summer while I've been preparing to move. And I'm gonna take Violetta, this really warm chocolate brown. Same brush, but just on the tip of that tapered end. And just right in the crease, the outer end. But so I've been doing a little bit, not working hard, but just doing a little bit, try and make the transition easier. But I did let them know that I would prefer to have more hands-on experience with the research. So what's going to be happening is I'm going to be kind of lab manager, filling in while they find someone else to take that on fully, so that I can be an RA and do more things hands-on with the research projects. Hi, okay, I'm sorry, I had to pause because there was a man right outside my window who was making me uncomfortable living in the city, am I right? Anyway, he's gone now. Basically, I took that super dark brown from the Modern Renaissance palette, that Cypress Umber, put that on a pencil brush, which is just like a small dome, and just brought it on the outer edge of my eye and a little bit upwards, a little bit on the lower lash line. Back to what I was saying, I am now in the process of moving from San Francisco to Connecticut, which is not an easy move. It's 3,000 miles. But I just finally found movers that I like, and I'll be getting all my stuff collected in a couple weeks, and then I'll be moving out a couple weeks after that. So a lot of changes, stressful time, but I'm making it work. But I was telling people that I thought the more difficult part about moving was going to be, the packing, the stress of that. But it's really just been like finding movers. What I just did was I took my finger and applied Fifth Avenue from the Mario palette, which is just this light gold. And I don't know if I wanted to do that, but it's done. I feel like it's a little too dramatic now. Whatever. The thing is, I'm really excited about the job in Connecticut. I'm really excited about the lab, about my mentors, about the projects, and about working. I am not excited, however, about living in Connecticut. I visited a little less than a month ago to look at apartments, and it was super crazy. I saw like 14 places in 2 days. It was really stressful, but I found a lot of good places actually, but I found one that has good price. It's a little bigger than what I wanted. And it's about a 20-minute drive away from campus, but I'm pretty happy with it. It's an affordable, clean, cute apartment, and I'm really excited to have my first apartment to myself that I can completely decorate how I want. So I'm gonna go ham at IKEA once I have the funds to support that mission. Another exciting thing is that I am 20 and I will be turning 21 August 28th, and that will be a couple weeks after I've moved to Connecticut. And so I am planning to have my 21st birthday in New York City, because it's like a 2-hour train ride from New Haven, and I just could not be more excited. I've never been to New York, and it's gonna be on Labor Day weekend because that's the first weekend after I turn 21, and that's gonna be a blast. I'm using the Anastasia Brow Pomade in medium brown. First thing first, I gotta get a car. once I'm there, like the second day I'm there, I have to go get a car, because here in San Francisco, you really don't need one, and it actually is kind of a nuisance to have one because parking is horrible and expensive and scarce, and you can just kind of get everywhere by public transit, or worst comes to worst, you could get an Uber. But in Connecticut, that will not fly. So I'll have my very first car, and there's just a lot of like life happening. A lot of adult life is occurring. I'm getting my first apartment that is all to myself, getting my first car, having my first full-time job. Okay, I'm gonna take the Hoola Benefit Bronzer again. But I'm really gonna miss San Francisco. I have absolutely positively loved it here. I think it's my favorite city that I've ever been to. Honestly, that's probably gonna change once I go to New York. But tonight I'm gonna go to the movies. I go to the movies constantly. I go probably, okay, I would say at least twice a month, but usually closer to once a week. I would say like 3 times a month is like the average. And what I'm gonna be seeing tonight is this movie called 3 Identical Strangers, which is like based on a true story. And it has really good reviews, and I haven't even seen the trailer. I know nothing about it. All I know is that some people have said it was an awesome movie. And I hope that the movie is good. I just saw Ant-Man, which I was like kind of enjoying. Like, it, you know, wasn't like best movie I've ever seen, but it was like, you know, it was like family friendly funny, and I loved the writing on the female characters. I so often hate how female characters are written, and I felt like it was really good in Ant-Man. It was not overbearing or obvious. They were just like humans, you know? It's so hard for female characters to be written like they're human, actual women. And I did like that. And then the end, after the credits, if you saw, you know what I'm talking about. Whole theater gasped. I'm gonna take the Morphe Hill, wow, the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm taking this second shade. I'm trying to decide if I want to do lashes or not, because like I'm gonna be taking it off in a few hours. But it's like once you start wearing lashes, you just get used to the way you look in them. I think I'm gonna do them. Also, my hair right now, I'm doing this specific method that I actually am trying to perfect, because I feel like I invented it. It's like a method that I think I invented. I have naturally really curly hair, but I've made it a little more wavy, and it's naturally drying. I took a shower, so it's not dry yet, not done with it, but like this method I do that I think I want to explain later, it like makes your hair like softer, shinier, and it kind of relaxes the curl a little bit more into a wave, but it's totally heatless, so it's really like hydrating for your hair too. So let me know if you're interested in that, if any of you have like fine curly hair like I do. Okay, the lashes are on, and it just feels so fabulous. They're the Flutter Lashes in Serenity, and I use the House of Lashes glue in the black, like the dark glue. And I didn't mess it up, surprisingly, so it's okay that I used dark glue. For blush, I'm using Melba because I'm boring and I use it all the time. But I'm trying to think of what other movies I saw this month. Oh, Jurassic World. That sucked. I'm gonna mix together Moonstone and Opal. Moonstone by Becca is like super light cream. I'm just taking a fan brush. This is from Sephora. It just says Sephora, oh, the 43. It's okay. When I bought it, it did not look like this. My opal is smashed, so I'm not going to show you it. And I'm just going to go in right there. Oh, Incredibles 2. Saw that. And it was good. It was a good movie. I would recommend it. Except what I wouldn't recommend doing is what I did is I watched the first one again, like the day before I saw it. And like the difference in animation quality was just like so severe that it was kind of like distracting. Like, whoa, it looks so different. So if you remember the plot of the first one, I would say just go ahead and watch the second one. You don't have to rewatch it. This is Oak by MAC. Just like a light brown, and I have some chapstick on, so it's gonna go on a little less intensely. Solo. I saw Solo. I thought it was great. It was like a box office flop. I really enjoyed it. But I so enjoyed this. I loved seeing, you know, who doesn't love Han Solo, and learning more about his character. It was just so much fun. I was so surprised that it was such a box office flop. But they really didn't like advertise it much, you know? This is Likely by ColourPop. I am gonna go over it with some gloss. This is Sugar Sugar by Marc Jacobs, which is a little less peachy, a little more pinky, and very light. This is my hair air dried, totally natural, but do you see how it's like almost like a natural like Marcel wave, like really old fashioned, but it's just so soft and shiny, and it's so easy, you know, to get my hair to do this with this technique that I'm trying to like perfect. So I think I am gonna do a video on it, but let me know if that is something that you're interested in. Okay, I just put my extensions in and curled them and then brushed them out, so it's not like amazingly well blended. And I tried to do something with my bangs because they were drying kind of weird. Who knows? See, I kind of like it just looking like messy. Feel it's super fast, super easy, and I'm very excited to see 3 Identical Strangers. I hope it's good, and thank you for watching.